Thoughts or questions?
Kellan, you got here maybe a little bit later than some of the other guys, but just what have your impressions been so far of all of this that comes with Kentucky basketball as you kind of get into it?
Yeah, it's been it's a different world to, in a lot of ways. But it's been awesome. It's been, humbling to be able to be fortunate enough to be at a school like this with such a storied tradition, just in terms of winning and basketball success and helping players achieve their dreams. Although I was, I think, a week later than most of the guys, it's been good to be here and get acclimated with the team and with Lexington and everything that comes with the experience of being here. So I've enjoyed it a lot so far.
How prepared do you think you are for a program where every dribble could be examined and questioned?
Yeah, I think I was prepared in some degree at Davidson, just having a solid career there and being on some pro radars, but I'm well aware that it's nothing compared to what I'm going to expect here and what's going to be expected of me as well. But ultimately, that had a lot to do with why I decided to come to Kentucky, was to put myself in that position in front of all those eyes to hopefully get to where I want to get post-college. So, I know it would take an extended amount of focus and attention to detail, but it's a challenge I'm willing to embrace to get to where I want to get. So I'm excited for it.
I know at Davidson you didn't have a new team every year like Kentucky's used to, but in your experience, how important is this part of the year, this summer, in terms of team bonding, learning to play with each other, all those kind of things?
I think it's pivotal. Just speaking anecdotally, last year at Davidson we had an awesome summer experience, and it was restricted to in some elements because of COVID, but we really built that bond throughout the summer, and it continued into the fall. And in my 4 years at Davidson, last year's team was the closest team I had, and that I think helped us on the court get through some adversity, get through tough times in practice and workouts. So I think for this year, it's imperative for us to try to take advantage of that opportunity to build a bonding experience and build some team chemistry both on and off the court. From my experience, since I was a little kid, the closer you are off the court, almost always seemingly translates to success on the court. So us being able to be here in June, I think will pay us well as the summer progresses and we get into the year.
What do you think is expected of you?
Personally, I think Coach Kellan Grady recruited me and wanted me to be part of this team to help them score points on the court and be a consistent offensive threat and guard my man and do my job on defense, but also to bring my experience and 120 games played in college basketball and to try to help facilitate that leadership role within this team and just be a positive voice and a positive guy in the locker room. So,
how did you develop your shooting?
How did I develop it?
Yeah, you're a good shooter, correct?
I like to think so.
Yes.
Yeah.
How did that happen? How did you develop it?
A lot of hours just playing outside in the backyard when you're a little kid, and that's kind of where you build your foundation, I think. And as you get older and you adjust your shot a little bit, your release point, you just kind of try to stay to the basics, the foundation, and ultimately it takes a lot of repetition and shooting game shots in practice, trying to get the ball off quick, practicing different footworks and movements and all that type of stuff is crucial for it to translate to game success. So I like to think some of it is some God-given ability, but a lot of repetition and work.
I noticed your free throw shooting dropped off last season.
It did.
What was that about?
I wish I feel like if I knew the exact answer, it wouldn't have dropped off. But I don't know, my percentage dropped a little bit. I think there were some times where I would, my dad told me with 4 or 5 games left in the year take an extra second and take a breath before you shot, and I think I finished the year like 14 for 16 from the line, which shows you how bad I was doing before that. 'Cause I barely got to 7. I don't even think I did. But nonetheless, yeah, I think, you know, sometimes that happens, and you play mind games with you, or you can, you know, steer the shot or whatever. But I'm a good free throw shooter. I'm confident of that, and I won't shoot the percentage I shot last year this year. So.
Kellan, a couple weeks ago, Cal was talking about the point guard options, and he mentioned, I think your freshman season at Davidson, you played some point. I guess you're probably recruited to play off the ball here, but in a pinch, if you did have to play point guard, how comfortable would you be in that role here?
I played some point guard, but it was more limited my freshman year. I was the point guard for Davidson this year. That's where I started at. The first two games, I started off the ball, but the rest of the season I was the starting point guard. So I got comfortable with it. I played point guard in high school a lot, in prep school specifically. So I'd be prepared to do that in whatever capacity he would require. You know, a lot of my strengths do come off the ball, coming off screens, attacking off the catch off the ball, but I'd be prepared to do whatever coach needs me to.
What do you think would be the biggest Encore difference between playing at Davidson's kind of the star player and now kind of being a guy that has to maybe more fit in more than just being, you know, the go-to guy?
I think it, you know, ultimately for the next level, I think professional scouts and team personnel want to see how well you play with really good players. So I think that will be important for me to, you know, always be aggressive and count on my scoring ability and what I proved for 4 years, but also to do it, you know, within the flow of an offense and to play with a level of unselfishness that will help the whole team. And there's obviously a competition difference to some degree from the SEC to the A10. You know, I think another inch or two in most positions and a little more athleticism and speed and quickness that I'll have to adjust to. But I think those are all good challenges. I think I will fit in well with this team.
You averaged a lot of minutes at Davidson. How much of a challenge is it for any player to deal with fewer minutes if it comes to that?
You know, I think that's something that won't faze me too much. You know, I hope I can be on the court as much as I can be, but you know, at Davidson we had a shorter rotation and it required me to play 35, 36, 37 minutes every game. So, I mean, I want to win at the end of the day, and you know, however I can help attain that goal every night is what I'm most focused on, not how many minutes per game I'm playing.
What are your impressions of your teammates so far, just in picking up games and stuff?
They've been great. There's a common goal, it seems like, this year, especially with the guys that are returning, kind of reestablish Kentucky basketball and you know, it just, a lot of the guys have spoken about how they really feel like this is a good group of guys and the team's going to be close, and pickup's been competitive, and you see what guys can do and how we're fitting in, and it's been good. So I've enjoyed it. You know, they're great guys off the court, and I think we're gonna have a fun year.
Kellan, I know it's almost an entirely different team than last year. You talked about reestablishing. What kind of lessons can you guys take from the struggles that last year's team had?
Well, besides the kind of obvious adversity that the whole country faced in college basketball with the pandemic and cancellations and not being able to do what we're doing right now in the summer, and all things that, you know, lead to a successful season. But aside from that, I think you know, it's going to be an emphasis for us on shooting and moving the ball and playing a little more free flowing. That will allow us to create opportunities for both ourselves and our teammates. And that's what Coach Calipari has been, you know, that's what his best teams have been known for. And I think in him showing us some film and kind of explaining to us the way he wants us to play, I think that's what we're going to look to do. So I think we have the personnel to do it and the experience.
I'm sorry. At Davidson, you founded the College of Athletes for Respect and Equality, and I'd heard or read that you were thinking about starting a chapter here. Where does that stand?
Well, there wouldn't be any sort of new foundation or new element to it. I think, obviously there's a larger following and the potential to impact more kids and potentially reach more schools with the kind of nucleus of what care is. But that's something that down the road I think we're gonna explore as basketball and camp settle down. But I'm excited for that opportunity to hopefully impact some more people and still stress how important just treating people right and with a sense of equality still is to this day. Yeah.
I read where the Davidson team toured Auschwitz, and I wonder
Yeah.
what sort of impression that made on you.
Oh, that was a life-changing experience, especially being toured around Auschwitz-Birkenau, the actual concentration camp by a survivor, part of the Mengele twin experiment, Eva Moses Core. Just being around her and hearing her experience and really puts life in perspective and makes you think twice before you want to complain or take things for granted when some people went through the hell that they went through. It was being with the team and being able to experience all that as a collective group was awesome, and it was a trip that I'll always cherish. So,
What have you been told about the rough crowds, and were there any non-conference games that you played at Davidson or conference games that kind of similar to that type of vibe?
yeah, but 7,000 or 8,000 people.
Yeah. You played a non-conference game similar to
Dayton was, I think they're 14,000, 15,000. They've been selling out every game for years. But no, Atlantic 10 has a lot of good arenas, but like I said, the capacity kind of ranges usually between 5,000 to 10 or 11,000, with the exception of Dayton. So, I think a lot of the demeanor of the crowd and some of the energy will remain consistent, but you double the crowd, or in some cases triple it. I think it will be a whole new experience, and it will be surreal. And I'm excited for it.
any non-conference games you played that were massive crowds?
We played at JPJ when we played UVA my freshman year. I
Yeah.
think that's about 15,000. Dayton is in conference, but that's 14 to 15,000. Let's see. We played at the Dean Dome, which was that's a little bit of a different. It's not quite as in your face and loud, but ultimately, no, nothing. I don't think. No, nothing compared to what Rupp will be like from everything I've heard and from what I've seen on TV. So
You've had several members of your family try to bring about better treatment for all people. How has that impacted you, do you think? The family history.
yeah, a lot. It's what further inspired me to try to be involved in some capacity. My grandfather lived in exile for 7 years and was on the run and was fighting against apartheid in South Africa. My grandmother was a very notable activist in her time, fighting for passport laws for black women in South Africa and also against apartheid. And she's kind of a household name to some degree in South Africa now. So, I'm incredibly proud of them and their efforts, and to be their grandson. And it kind of runs in the family. Just fighting for justice for all people. So that had a lot to do with I remember my grandmother told me I was carrying on the family tradition. So it meant a lot coming from her.
Can you describe your game in your own words? Who is Kellan Grady on the court?
I'm a winner. I care most about winning, but I'm a scorer. That's my MO to score the ball, and I try to do it in an unselfish manner and try to be as good as I can on defense and help my team win offensively. however that, you know, can get achieved that night is what I'm focused on. But ultimately, I'm a scorer who can shoot the ball and play. I think I can score at all three levels. In the mid-range game with floaters and pull-ups as well as at the rim and from beyond the arc. So
We're seeing this big shift in college basketball with name, image, likeness, and even transfers. With the team of a handful of transfers, just what's that interaction like as a bunch of teammates coming from different coaching staffs, cultures, that sort of aspect?
it's been good. I mean, you know, one of the common questions I think for a lot of transfers, at least I would presume, given my experience so far here, is, you know, what was your school like? How was, you know, what was the social vibe like there? What was your coach like? You know, and then you kind of just, I don't know, pull together all the things you've heard and different experiences, and then when you come together for one common goal, you know, with the same name on your chest, you know, I think it kind of makes getting closer and understanding the experience here a little easier, given that we've all gone through the college basketball experience so far. So I've enjoyed meeting all the guys. You know, we're waiting for O to get here. I'm excited to meet Oscar as well, but it's been a great experience so far.
You talked about scoring in an unselfish way. Is that difficult to balance that? And I assume you hone that skill in your time at Davidson?
It can be. You know, I think there are a lot of times where I could be more aggressive. At least that's what people watching me tell me. My dad especially, but I think, yeah, that's kind of something I think I've prided myself on is being a relatively efficient scorer, but not needing to, you know, take 18, 19 shots a game to do it and shoot a low percentage from the field. So I think there are times where it's important to be more aggressive. There's also times to do that and to try to score within the flow of an offense, but being assertive at the same time.
It was pointed out to me that you all have extra lines outside the three-point line out in the gym there. And I was asking CJ a couple weeks ago, he said that he's trying to expand his range beyond the three-point line out to about 26, 27 feet. Is that something you all are trying to really, you know, maybe take on this coming year with the added emphasis on three-point shooting?
Yeah, you know, I would imagine a lot of the team feels that way. I've always, you know, when I do spot shooting, I do it from the college line. I also do it from the NBA line. So that's something I've been trying to continue to practice for really since I've been in college. But I think that will be important for all of us because, you know, if you're spotting out from 25 feet as opposed to 22 feet, the court's more spaced. And if you're not shooting, that gives more opportunities for driving lanes and extends the defense that, you know, hopefully can work in our favor as offensive players. So, you know, I think it would be important for all of us to have the capability to shoot from the NBA line.
Kellan, how closely are you all watching the name, image, and likeness stuff? It seems like that's coming at some point this summer, going to open up some possibilities for you all. Are you being briefed on it, prepared for it, thinking about things you want to endorse one day?
I haven't got that far to what I like to endorse, but no, we have been briefed on it. We've had conversations about it, and I think it's important for players to be able to monetize their experience. You know, especially at a place like Kentucky and schools that are similar and playing in big conferences and you know, creating a lot of revenue for the school. I think it is important for us to be able to have an opportunity to benefit somehow on that. And you know, just embracing that idea and being willing to take part in it is kind of where I'm at right now. And you know, I don't have anything concrete as far as you know, my plans on how to exactly do that, but I'm excited about the opportunity for it. I think the whole team is.
What do you remember about playing against Kentucky?
Well, it ended up being a great game. I remember that. I think the first 10 or 12 minutes, I was only a freshman then, so I was kind of getting. There was a couple times where I made what I thought was a really nice move, and probably would have been 2 points in the A-10, and then I think it was Sasha and Hamadou just beat it off the glass a couple times. I adjusted, but I remember that. That was kind of a welcome to the tournament, but also to big time college basketball. But we set, as a team, we were a little, we started off the first 4 months or so, we started off pretty hot, and then we got kind of rusty, and then we settled in the second half, and myself included. And it was a nail biter. Then obviously I wish we had won, but I can live with it a little more now.
Is it easier to face that kind of competition when you're doing it every game as opposed to Davidson if you're playing a bunch of A-10 teams and then every so often playing a high major team? How does that maybe work with your game, I guess?
I think that's as important as anything in terms of having success at this level. And that's a huge deal of why I wanted to be here, because competing against SEC players every day in practice prepares you, one, for the games, of course, but also for the next level. And that's an experience that you can only get at a certain amount of schools here. I mean, obviously, some teams have the ability to, at lower, an A-10 or an American Conference or a Colonial, whatever it may be, they have the ability to turn it on for a game or two. In some cases, it doesn't matter who you're playing, but I think it 100% behooves you to be able to do that every day in practice and in games. So, yes.
You read Trevor Noah's book, speaking of your background and family?
I have not read it. I shouldn't tell my parents that, but I watch Trevor all the time.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a little dork with comedians. I watch Trevor and Jimmy Kimmel and those guys all the time. So, yeah, I love Trevor Noah. He's
Just his
awesome.
background, yeah.
No, I've heard his book. Multiple people have told me I have to read it.
Yeah.
So, eventually I will.
I like Jordan Klepper too. I think he's pretty funny.
My brother likes him. I don't watch him really, but my brother likes him a lot.
Yeah, I read the book. It's good. And the Trevor's good.
Yeah, Trevor's awesome.
Thanks, everybody.